So I've been packing for a trip that we're planning to do over the west coast at the weekend. We're hoping to go back to Lochmaree, and I was able to have a look at the packing video that I'd done for the trip that we planned earlier on in the year, and I was having a bit of a think about, well, what has changed since packing for a trip in March, or was it February? No, it was March. And packing for a trip towards the end of the summer. And not a great deal has changed equipment wise, apart from an extra few bits and bobs to deal with midges. And that kind of got me thinking about maybe putting together a little video here talking about what we've done to combat the midges, and maybe get other people to share some of their experiences too. So if you come up to do any sort of expedition in Scotland, one of the hazards you're going to encounter is the Highland Midge. Some people believe that one of the reasons that the west coast of Scotland is so sparsely populated is partly because of the midge. So does it deserve its fierce reputation? Well, I can only speak from personal experience, but certainly there have been times where we have called off trips because of the amount of midge action. Over in Torridon on the west coast, we had planned a overnight stay over there. The midges were so dense and biting so hard that we just packed up and went home instead. So certainly they can do enough to make you kind of pack up and go home. The first time we went to Lochmaree, there were certainly midges out and they were biting, and we had to pitch our tent on the most exposed bit of rock that we could find, because the best thing that you can do if confronted with midges, one, is try and avoid them. Midges like still, damp conditions. They don't deal with wind very well, so any sort of breeze will normally carry them away, and they don't deal with bright sunlight. However, damp, still conditions is often the conditions you'll end up in looking for your little camp spot. So avoidance isn't always possible, but if you can, maybe pick a spot rather than in amongst the bushes, maybe somewhere slightly more open that has a bit of a breeze going through it. Besides that, there's various potions and lotions that you can find that will claim to be effective in deterring the midge, and we've got a couple with me here. So we will be packing a bottle of Life Systems Expedition Plus insect repellent. So this is the DEET stuff. So this is a 90% DEET. DEET has a bit of a reputation for being quite nasty, and certainly you don't want to try and get it on your lips or anything, because it buzzes and stings a little bit. It's fairly effective though. Just be careful of what it goes in. You don't want to be drinking it. You don't want to be getting it on your Gore-Tex, because it will melt Gore-Tex, and it will also take nail varnish off as well, apparently. So something to be treated with a bit of caution. Alternatively to that, and something which is a bit nicer on the skin, is the Avon Skin So Soft. So legend has it that the SAS, when up on doing training in the Highlands of Scotland, one of the fellas discovered that his missus's moisturiser was an effective deterrent for getting the midges away, and certainly we found it to be relatively effective. It's much more pleasant on your skin than the DEET stuff, and rumour has it that it's partly fragrance, partly it stops them landing. It's certainly much more pleasant. The thing to keep an eye out for is make sure you buy the original stuff. Apparently where it doesn't say original Skin So Soft, it doesn't have the same effect. The other one that we've used on occasion is called smidge. This is it's kind of a step between them. It's not DEET, but it still is certainly seems a bit more chemically than the Skin So Soft stuff. All of these can be effective to a certain extent, but if there is a big cloud of midgies, then there's really not a great deal that they're going to do. The midgies will still bite. Now Chloe and I both come up in quite nasty bumps, which can be itchy for quite some time after the midge has had its munch on you. So something you can do if you know that you're going to be going into a midgy area is it's a histamine reaction. So by taking some antihistamines, I've got hay fever tablets that can help reduce the inflammation and the itchiness. And then one other thing that we're going to try, so I've not tried this yet, this is an after bite pen, and it's supposed to soothe and take care of the skin in case of insect bites and stings. So I thought we'd take that along. It's quite small and convenient, so I thought we'd give that a go. If you haven't been able to find a breezy spot and they're out in swarms, then is that it? You just have to go home. Well, something you can do if you don't want to cut your trip short would be to get a midge net. So I've just picked up a Smidge branded midge net, and it's not the sexiest garment in the world. However, if it is the difference between ending up going home and cutting your trip short, then maybe it's worth it. So let's take a look. It's basically just a fine woven bag for your head. And there we go. Seems a bit drastic, but hey, when needs must. Now a tip, instead of just putting it straight on like this, if you can pop on a hat, maybe something with a bit of a peak. I'll put it on backwards for now, but you get the idea. So this gives it a bit of a peak. And then over the top you can pop your midge net, and that just keeps it out your face a little bit, and it means that you are not constantly picking it out your mouth. And then you just keep everything else covered up. Hiya. Jogger's wondering what on earth is going on here. There we go, so there's some options. It may not end up being the midges that end up ruining our trip this weekend. The forecast is pretty grotty, so fingers crossed. The forecast is for high winds and a lot of rain, which could just pay the end to the trip before it even starts. But we'll pack, we'll go over, we'll take a look, and you can come with us. Right, see you then.